All right, let's talk about something that can make even the most experienced IT folks a little nervous: Microsoft Server licensing. Specifically, we're going to break down the new rules for Windows Server 2025 so you can figure it all out with confidence. Let's just dive right in. Look, if you've ever stared at one of Microsoft's licensing documents and felt your brain start to melt, trust me, you are not alone. It's famous for being complex. But don't worry, that's what we're here for, to cut through all that noise and give you a clear, simple path to understanding what you actually need. The best way to think about this is like you're building a house. And for any house, you gotta start with a solid foundation. In the world of Windows Server, that foundation, it's all about the processor cores. So Microsoft has this model called, you guessed it, core-based licensing. And honestly, the basic idea is pretty simple. Every single physical core inside your server that's running the software needs to have its own license. Got a server with 32 cores? You're going to need 32 core licenses. Sounds easy enough, right? Well, yeah, but as always, there are a couple of little rules you've got to know. Okay, so here's rule number 1, and this one's a biggie. It doesn't matter how many cores your server actually has. Even if it's a small box with just 8 or 12 cores, you have to license a minimum of 16 cores, period. Think of it as the price of admission to license that server. And there's a part 2 to this rule. Each physical processor, each CPU chip, inside that server has to be assigned at least 8 core licenses. So let's say you have a server with 2 CPUs. That's 8 licenses for the first one, 8 for the second. And hey, look at that. It adds up to our 16 core minimum for the whole server. Just remember, you license all the physical cores, but you can't go below 8 per processor or 16 per server. All right, our foundation is poured. It's solid. Now we got to look at the blueprint, which means picking the right edition of Windows Server for what you actually need to do. So this pretty much lays out your main options. You've got Data Center, that's the big one, the powerhouse for when you're doing a ton of virtualization. Standard is your go-to for physical servers or places with just a few VMs. Essentials is for small businesses, and the Azure Edition is built for hybrid cloud stuff. But for a lot of people, the choice really boils down to one single question: how many virtual machines are you running? And this is the absolute key difference right here. With Standard Edition, when you fully license all the cores in your server, you get the right to run 2 virtual machines. 2. That's it. If you need to run a third one, you have to buy licenses for all the cores in that server all over again. But with Data Center, it's a whole different ballgame. You license the server once, and you can spin up as many VMs as your hardware can handle. Unlimited. It's a huge factor in the decision. Okay, so we've got our foundation, we've got our blueprint. But, a house is just an empty box until people actually move in, right? Well, in our server world, the people are your users and your devices. And yeah, you guessed it, they need licenses too. And we do this with something called a Client Access License, or just a CAL. See, for both Standard and Data Center, it's not enough to just license the server itself. No, every user or every device that's going to access services on that server, like getting a file or using a printer, also needs their own CAL. You can buy them per user or per device, but you gotta have them. Okay, listen up, because this is super important and a place where a lot of people get tripped up. Your old Windows Server 2022 CALs, they are no good for Windows Server 2025. When you upgrade the server, you have to upgrade your CALs too. The rule of thumb is simple. Your CAL version has to be the same as your server or newer, never older. All right, we know what we need to buy. Now let's talk about the fun part: how you're going to pay for all this. And the good news is Microsoft has actually given us more options than ever before. You can really boil it down to 3 main ways to pay. First, there's the classic way, perpetual. You buy the license once, you own it forever. Simple. Then you've got subscription. Basically, you're renting the license, paying a recurring fee. And this is the new, interesting one: pay as you go. You hook your server up to Azure Arc, and you literally just pay for what you use each month. It's awesome for workloads that go up and down. Now, I gotta mention software assurance, or SA, real quick. Just think of it like an optional benefits package you can add on top of your perpetual licenses. It's what unlocks some really powerful stuff, like being able to move your licenses between servers, and it's how you get the rights to the next version of Windows Server when it comes out without having to buy it all over again. Okay, we are almost there. We're in the home stretch. We figured out what to buy and how to pay for it. The very last step is just flipping the switch, activating it. And of course, there are a few different ways to get this done.
Bigger companies usually use volume activation, things like KMS. For just a few servers, a simple MAK key does the job. Sometimes the license just comes pre-installed from the manufacturer, that's OEM. And see that new piece of the pie? That's the Azure Arc method. It's totally tied into that pay-as-you-go model we just talked about, and it makes the whole thing automatic through the cloud.
So let's just pull back for a second and recap the whole journey, right? It really is a step-by-step process. You start with your physical cores, then you pick your edition, then you cover your users with CALs. You choose your payment model, and finally, you activate. See? When you lay it out like that, it's not so bad, is it? And that really brings us to a bigger, more interesting question. I mean, having a real pay-as-you-go option for a server sitting in your own data center, that's a huge deal. And it really makes you wonder, as the whole industry pushes towards paying for things as you use them, are we watching the beginning of the end for buying software outright? It's definitely something to think about.